So, back to the whole Bible studying. And right now, I'm only mainly in Acts because Acts have a real eye view that I would say that is showing me a lot of things that most people might be paying attention to or might not be paying attention to. Okay, so in a sense, I explained the whole Peter situation. Peter had the Holy Spirit and how, the two people lied to them. So the Holy Spirit that was in Peter, plus God seeing everything that's happening, all three of them, in a sense, being angry at once. Peter, the Holy Spirit, plus God being angry at once. So what they did with the man and the woman, they separated their spiritual body from their physical body, and they dropped dead without actually someone actually killing them. Okay. Now, one thing I'm about to explain. It is not Peter that have powers. Okay. It is the Holy Spirit and God that's in Peter that is giving him the spiritual gifts to display technically God's power and what God can do. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna just go to the whole verse of chapter 8 and 18, and it was explaining how Simon saw that the Spirit was given when the apostles laid their hand on people. So in the sense, the apostles and Peter and everybody was, giving people the Holy Spirit, and they was in a sense, once you got the Holy Spirit, you automatically have God's gift, and it can be in different ways, whether it's seeing the future, whether it's doing all these different things. But in a sense, once you got the Holy Spirit, you got a part of God's power. Okay, but it also talk about how it also talk about how Simon wanted the power, and instead, he wanted to buy the power. So in a sense, Peter replied, "May you and your money be destroyed for thinking you can buy the gifts of God." Okay. Now, one thing I'm gonna say before I get into this next verse that's in chapter 9, and it literally is gonna probably blow your mind, but you'll really have a better understanding about the Holy Spirit and everything else. But those people that have the Holy Spirit, like I said, displayed tremendous power. So if you look at Moses for a good example, splitting the sea, it wasn't Moses that splitted the sea. It was the Holy Spirit that was in Moses that, in a sense, splitted the sea. But to the people, to the human eye, you looking at the person. You're not looking at the fact that God set the Holy Spirit into Moses and gave him one of his gifts that allow him to split the sea. Just like the whole God giving the Holy Spirit unto Peter that allow him to separate the spiritual body from the physical body with the man and woman. Now, everybody, don't get me wrong. All you got to just look at the people that are receiving the Holy Spirit and what they are doing with the Holy Spirit to understand that it is the Holy Spirit that is showing all these tremendous powers. Now, everybody talk about how Jesus raised the dead. Okay, no one is paying attention to that Peter, that had the Holy Spirit, also raised the dead. I'm about to break this down. In chapter 9, and we go just start from 40. No, we go start from 39. I'm gonna break down 39 before I read 40. In a sense, someone died. Peter came there. He told them, in a sense, they said widows, but he told them, in a sense, to leave the room. Okay, so they left the room, and it says, it says, Peter asked them to leave the room. Then he knelt and prayed, turning to the body, said, "Get up, Tabitha." And she opened her eyes. And when she saw Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand and helped her up. Then he called in the widows and all the believers and presented her to them alive. So not also was it Jesus that raised the dead, it was also Peter that raised the dead. Just as Peter separated the spiritual body from the physical body, in a sense, Peter also with another person put their spiritual body back into their physical body after they had died. But who really did it? Was it Peter? Or was it the Spirit of God that was in them that said, hey, you get out your body. Hey, you get back into your body. What? Is people paying attention to that? See, as I'm reading it, my mind is seeing, like I said, something totally different from what everybody else is seeing. My mind is seeing that everybody's paying attention to the physical person. Whether it be Moses, whether it be Peter, whether it be John, whether it be Jesus, whether it be whatever. My eyes is paying attention to who God is placing the Holy Spirit upon people. And then the power that they are displaying to let me know, it is not the people that is doing and showing all this power. It is the Holy Spirit. So what all type of gifts does the Holy Spirit have? That's the question that you need to be looking at when you read in the Bible and gaining the different perspective when it comes to learning of the holiness, the divineness of the Bible. Not just the story. The story you see in 1D. 2D is looking how, and in a sense, I break it down with 1D. It's called dimensional eyes. You, in a sense, let me break it down to you like this. Let's talk about a story. Let's say the boy who cried wolf. You know the story, but that is 1D looking at it. 2D will be you asking the question of trying to pick it apart, of thinking like, one, why the heck is it a boy outside at night watching sheep, no adults around, and there's a wolf? 3D will be you looking at the fact that after he did tell them, they left him because they saw that he was lying, but yet they still left him alone with the sheep, even though he said it was a wolf. So now you gotta ask in a sense, 4D would be you coming to the realization that the story is not just about someone lying. The story is about, in a sense, it's different ways and different views that you can look at that one story. But what I'm trying to break down, when you looking at this Bible, don't just read to see the story. After you see the story, you have to look at the story in a different angle. And when you look at the story in a different angle, you're going to subconsciously and mentally be more mature to understand more than what you just read. You're going to see it in a different angle. Then you're going to start dissecting the truth out of the whole story. And when you take the truth out of the story after you see it from all angles, then you're going to have the power that the story is trying to really explain. The truth. The truth will set you free. The truth is power. When you understand the truth, then you understand subconsciously the power behind the story.